Good morning and welcome to November's webinar from DataBasics. This month's webinar is entitled Top 10 Mistakes When Implementing a DAM Solution. Now I'll get started properly in just a minute or so. There's still a few people dropping in. I'm just watching them come in on the monitor over there. My name is Ricky Patton. I'm Director here at DataBasics. DataBasics, we're a business solutions company all about delivering DAM solutions to people in Australia, New Zealand and Southeast Asia. We've got around about just getting up to 10 people coming along to the webinar, which is really great. Good to see attendance. We usually get people dropping in and dropping out over the course of the webinar. I intend to deliver this webinar over the next 30 minutes. The content is available up on our blog site. So if you go to blog.databasics.com.au, I think it's on the second page of the blog at the moment. It depends how many blogs have been updated recently. On the screen, you can see I've got a PDF of the presentation that I'll be going through. My objective in the next 30 minutes is I'm not going to just take you through the presentation, because you can go to the blog and you can read all of the research data and the results and the comments that people made there. What I want to do in the next 30 minutes is really provide my analysis of the survey. I was involved in interviewing the different people, give you a little bit of my interpretation of the results, and provide a little bit of value add onto the content of the survey by providing some insights that I've gathered over the last few months. This is the second time I've run this webinar. The first time was at the Canto DAM Summit in Germany back in September. And I've been thinking quite a bit about a few points, talking to some of my colleagues. And what I've done is I've sort of grouped them together, and I'll explain that as we go along. Okay, so just to talk about the top 10 mistakes. A little bit about DataBasics. I think most of you will know who we are, looking at the name of the people over here. Okay, so what we're really talking about here is looking at mistakes that were made. Well, I should clarify the term mistakes. How the survey was conducted is I interviewed 32 different people. These people, about a third of them came from projects that DataBasics were involved in, and the other 2/3 were people that I knew or collaborates or other people that I'd contacted and asked if they wanted to be engaged in the survey. Now, what happened during the survey interviews, most of them were telephone interviews. I did go and meet quite a few of the different people, is that I collected a list, or basically transcribed the different comments that were being made during the interview. So we've called them mistakes. That they're also, I like the term responses or statements that these people made. And so I collated all of these during the interview. During the first interviews, before I'd really sort of started to group the responses and start to work out what I was going to do with the responses, I would start discussing, possible groupings with the interviewee. Towards the end of the process, where it become quite clear that I was going to group them into different types of mistakes, and I defined those different types of mistakes, I would slot them into those different groupings, and then I would talk to the interviewee whether they concurred with my analysis of where their comments fell into. Just to show some of this, if we go over here, so this is really the breakdown and the main gist of the survey. It shows the number of responses made by various people and the classification that response was put into. And as you can see, the top response had 54, or the top mistake or grouping had 54 responses, and I commented a moment ago that I interviewed 32 people. Just to clarify, it was basically, I saw 54 times people made a comment that would be put into the grouping of started without a complete business plan. For an example of that was somebody said a project scope is too big and lack of success criteria. Right? So those are two comments made by the one person, and both of those were marked into the started without a complete business plan mistake. Okay, now then, and it's important to note, and this is a comment that's made back over here, that even though we talk about mistakes, it's a good thing to think about mistakes because hopefully we can learn from our mistakes, which is one of the intended outcomes of this survey. Nobody really told me that the DAM implementation was a total waste of time and money. Nobody had given up their DAM project. Of the people that we interviewed, they did range considerably between more mid-range business or organisations through to very large corporates. We had at least one global implementation, 3 national corporates, and of those 32, 7 were in a second or later stage of implementation. So they were taking on more effort into the DAM process. So obviously they did not think it was an utter waste of money. So now then, as said, the outcome of doing this presentation or the analysis of these results is to first determine how many of these mistakes could be grouped together as general business issues, or are they specific to DAM? And for me at least, and I know for quite a few people that I've talked to, this is a very interesting factor. Is a DAM project different from a general ITS type of project? It's a big question. It's one that I hear many people discuss. My take, as you'll see that I will develop during the presentation, is that there are some points that can be put down to general IT type of issues, but overall a DAM project has its own unique characteristics and needs to be seen as such. And that is perhaps one of the biggest mistakes, and maybe that starts up with the top 1 or 2 different types of mistakes there. And you need to understand really what a DAM project is about if you want to be successful. So we want to determine which type of mistakes are particular to a DAM project and which are general IT type of mistakes. And the second point, as I've said before, we all want to learn from our mistakes. From my own philosophy on life, I look to taking on as much mistakes or understanding what could have been done better and use that to improve the operation of my business and various other aspects of my life. So again, as said, I'm going to analyse, group and relate the different groupings of these mistakes together. And we're going to see if we can drive this through to a single root cause to these mistakes. And hopefully I'm going to develop that during this presentation. Now, I saw of these top 10 mistakes, and I need to say here that at the end of the interview process, we did have 14 classifications. 4 of those dropped off, obviously. They didn't score very highly, leaving us with the top 10. Of those 10 groupings, I'm going to see if I can do a further analysis to bring them down into 4 different types. And what I'm seeing there is the top 2, which are by far the major winners. The number 1 mistake, started without a complete business plan, scored 54, which is over twice of any of the other mistakes combined. If you add that up with the second mistake, didn't understand what DAM is, you come up to around about 1/3 of all of the responses provided. So you see those 2 top items, they're the big winners by far. That they, I think, need to be addressed separately. Then we had a range of different mistakes, being number 3, ignored metadata, number 6, didn't understand DAM benefits, and the last one, did not accept DAM as an operational cost. Those 3, they are the ones that superficially, and definitely that they are to do with the DAM project and are not general IT related mistakes. We had general project type of failures, numbers 4, 5 and 10, and I think we'll address them as a separate group. And interestingly, there was only 2 mistakes, and they rated number 8 and 9 that really had to do with the technology itself. And this is quite interesting, that even as you go through all of the different mistakes that there were, the actual technology played a very small part in people identifying or providing me responses as to what was a mistake or what was not a mistake. Okay, and so with that introduction, let's move on. So the number 1 big winner by far started without a complete business plan. And I must say, this was quite interesting for me. Like, as I said, we talked to 3 major corporates. There was half a dozen major government departments, and I had a range of different people, quite senior in the project, who just told me that they started without a complete business plan. From my point of view, I would have said, can you really do that? Are you allowed to start with such a project without a complete business plan? And as it seems, yes, this was the case, and I'll draw that back a little bit later into, who are the people that may have driven or been the prime movers of the project. So you see on the screen now, this is a list of the types of comments that people made. I'm just checking whether anybody, now I should have said I will take questions at the end of the webinar, so do ask questions, and I will open up the question pane towards the end. I do want to get through the webinar in a reasonable amount of time, and I'm just checking that nobody's raised their hand, so that's all good. Right, so I assume everybody's seeing the screen okay there. Now then, some of the comments that I heard, and we've got a lot to draw from here. Too much in one hit. Thought it was a simple solution rather than a change at the company level, which I thought was very interesting and ties into the 10th mistake, which is did not accept DAM as an operational cost. Underestimation of maintaining system after initial stages are complete leads to system becoming out of date from one of the projects that had been running for quite a while. I might have mentioned before that these different 32 projects that we interviewed, there were around about an even split between new projects that had just been initiated through to some that had already been running for 5 or more years. So, it's good to see some people, learning from mistakes over time. That also said was focus on what you want to achieve and don't get sidetracked on possibilities. There wasn't plans for accessibility of records. Some people failed to plan properly for the security of their files. And others left out really a plan on how people were going to access the digital assets. So yeah, this all comes under the first number 1 topic of started without a complete business plan. As you'll see, I'll develop this point a little bit later, so I'm wanting to move straight along to the next point. Didn't understand what DAM is about. This scored around about in the middle of mid-20s, and that's where, add that up with the first point there, and we come up to around about 80 plus comments made on these first two points here. So the second one, didn't understand what DAM is and what is it not. And this I think is the first time that we start to see something that relates really directly to what a DAM project is, and perhaps how some organisations are blindsided by a DAM project. They think it's a standard IT type of project, but they get misled by that perception. They don't understand that, for start, that DAM is very much focused on the business users of the solution, whereas other ITS type of projects may have a very strong corporate focus or outcome. DAM is all about usability, accessibility. It's all got to do with the business users of the solution. I think the other thing that people don't understand typically about a DAM project is of the acronym DAM, the M is for management, and management is done by people. You've got to involve people in the management process right from the beginning. It's got to be a part of your business plan, and if you want success in the project, you really need to have management as an active process in the overall DAM implementation. So the type of things that people said here, just don't get it from the user point of view. They didn't see it was an all business focused type of project. Often harder than they think, and underestimation of the complexity associated. And this is where you get some people blindsided. They see that DAM involves heavy lifting of big assets. They think it's an ITS type of, big iron type of project, but it's not. As said, it's all about usability. Understand what is DAM and what is not, which is how we incorporated that into the title of this mistake, which is really good. And the fourth one there I've highlighted, I've already made a reference to. Somebody said to me directly, the M in DAM refers to management of metadata. And that sort of relates to the next point that we're going to move along to. So just going back to the overall chart. So, in my grouping, I saw the first two items as separate because they were so dominant in the overall responses. The next 5 are sort of mid-range types. They're all plus or minus on the 20 scoring card. And with number 3, which is the first mistake that I really think we can definitely focus on the nature of DAM. Maybe the second one didn't understand DAM. That's sort of a part of didn't have a complete business plan, didn't do their correct analysis. There's some other areas there. But as we said in mistake 3, ignoring the metadata or didn't understand the significance of the metadata and plan for the proper implementation of metadata, this is the first time that we see something that we can truly say is particular to a DAM project. So when I talk to people and from our own projects, a lot of what we do here at DataBasics is all got to do with management of metadata. Of course it is, we're a DAM company. And what we see is that people don't have a fully fledged implementation plan for the metadata. You've got to understand the asset life cycle and the involvement of metadata. So the asset life cycle is not only the digital asset, but the evolution of the metadata itself. And particular, there was one of my favorite statements was metadata ineffective in describing the asset. And I think that's really a good example of ignoring or didn't understanding metadata. Some people think metadata, they're just search tags. They think of, okay, and red, okay, and stick in red, we get files, we get red. Well, is that the right use of the metadata? I would definitely argue, and I think the feedback that we got here underlines that you've really got to understand the metadata is not only a search tag, but it's got to be used to be properly descriptive of the digital asset. It's got to explain to people where the asset came from, how you're going to use it. Without this sort of metadata, you're never going to be able to leverage some of the benefits of DAM, such as digital rights management, copyright, or brand management. All of these things tie back into the metadata that goes along with an asset. Some of the other comments that people made, no plan for what metadata will go into the system. Okay. Underestimate the complexity involved in collecting metadata. Very typical mistake, and we see that, and we work on that extensively from our professional services team. And the other mistake there, they just said forgot about the metadata, like golly gosh, how could you put together a DAM system without metadata? But there we are, people off they went and tried to do that. Okay. Now then, going back to my little table, oops, up the front there. So now with mistake number 4 and 5, these two are definitely ones that are related to general project mistakes, failures of ITS, and also number 7 down here, lack of leadership buy-in. Now, I'm going to deal with these as a separate group. I'm going to go pretty quickly through these 3 items here. I don't think they're really strongly associated with DAM, so I'll go through them from the general project level. In the middle of that, we're going to run our first poll, which I've got a big reminder on the screen here, and this is where you get to also come up and vote on what you think are the top 10 mistakes. And after going through those, I'm going to quickly look at mistake number 8 and 9, which are the technology ones. I don't think they're really issues that we should talk to at length during this webinar. Picking the right solution, and the right vendor, very important, obviously. But it's interesting to see that technology didn't determine the outcome of the projects. So I'm going to jump over here to number 10, DAM as an operational cost. This is one of the items that I definitely to do with DAM. And then I'm going to work my way back up to number 6 here, didn't understand DAM benefits. And this is the one that I really see wraps together all of the different mistakes and gives us a retrospective point of view to understand the overall land map of these different types of responses that we got from interviewees. Okay, then back to number 4. Okay, partnering with IT failed. Okay, and this is a standard type of project mistake that you see around the place. The sort of comments that people made was IT department not involved in project. Possibly this had to do with one of the earlier mistakes and perhaps business users driving the project and not going through the standard processes within an organisation to involve both IT and other supportive groups. Underestimating technical resources and other aspects related to IT support, same again. Didn't do correct backup of both catalogues and assets, it's a bit disastrous. And generally a gap between IT versus the business users. So that's something that you see in many types of organisations. Okay, so mistake number 4, partnering with IT failed, definitely a general project type of failure there. Okay, now then, let's go on to mistake number 5, second of the 3 mistakes that I think are to do with general project failures. We didn't have a dedicated project manager. Now, this might be associated with mistake number 7, poor leadership, but the actual day-to-day management of the project versus the leadership or executive sponsorship we do see as 2 separate things, and you may have one and the other, but you do need both, and that's why we've separated them out. Now then, some of the types of responses made here is no plan for accessibility of record of files, changes in staff led to reintroduction of system, no dedicated project manager. Now, and as you can see from the mistakes we've got highlighted on the screen here, or the responses there, this does bring into light the other need of a DAM project, and that is to have a data steward, often termed a DAM librarian, somebody who's going to oversee the management of the content of the solution. Now, you might say, well, that is particular for DAM project. DAM project needs a data steward or a DAM librarian. And I contest that. If you look at other projects, typically, collection management, record management, even an invoicing or account system, they do need people that oversee the actual data that's being aggregated within the solution. So, all solutions, I think you'll find, will need people nominated to administrate the solution. DAM, and I think why people or organizations sometimes see that it is a particular requirement of DAM to have a DAM librarian, a data steward, is that it is a very specialized skill. Somebody's got to understand the metadata. They've got to understand issues like digital rights management, copyright management. They've got to understand the business processes within the organization. So, it is a very important role there. But I do think it's a general type of project failure to not have that person nominated within the organization. Okay, now a bit of fun. We get to run our first poll here. Okay, then launch poll. So this poll, and you can see, just click on one of the responses there. And this is just seeing how many people can respond to the different mistakes that have been highlighted so far. Okay, right. So that was really interesting. Answers came through. Right, the two the two mistakes that people related to, and there was an even split between number two, didn't understand what DAM is, and number four, partnering with the IT department failed. Now that I think is really interesting. Nobody said they started without a complete business plan. Good on you, people. Great, and I really hope that you did not start without a complete business project. Okay, now then, as said, I'm now going to move straight on to the seventh mistake. This is another general project mistake here. We had a lack of leadership buy-in, and here we are talking about the executive sponsorship of a project. We're not talking about the project manager. That was mistake number 5. So, the type of things that people raised here were internal politics, no champion to get new resources when needed, no executive sponsorship to complete project, ownership of the DAM project. Something that we see in day-to-day life is that the ownership of DAM project is very poorly understood in many organisations. Okay, so that wraps up the 3 general project mistakes. And the number 8, building a dam from scratch. We see this less and less these days. Dam vendors don't have tens of staff on hand writing the solutions to make it all work. That you think that you could go and build one yourself. Well, that's it's often got to do with the scale of economies and people's perception. Anyway, you can get entry level solutions that are low cost through to high end solutions. We're much more in the medium to high end range. You don't need to be out there writing one of these from scratch yourself. See that less and less these days. Then, interestingly, I picked the wrong vendor, number 9. Now, that tells me that either everybody had really good processes of picking the right vendor and they didn't make this mistake, which is excellent, or they didn't highlight it during the process. Or maybe us DAM vendors out there are really good at looking after people. I would have thought this would have rated up more highly in the responses, but it was not one that many people chose. The obvious one here, they chose overseas solutions. We still see that. I am amazed how even cases of an Australian government organisation that has standards saying they need local support and training will go off and buy a solution from overseas. It's mind-boggling. Selected the cheapest quote. Well, that's a scale of and that really comes back to the item number 6, which I'm going to drive the whole thing, understanding the value of digital asset management. So anyway, interesting to see technology and vendors associated were not listed highly. Okay, so let's just look at the mistake number 10 before I work it back up to the 6th mistake and then wrap all of this together. Okay then, so did not accept DAM as an operational cost. This is very important, and I think this has got a lot to do with mistake number 2, where people did not understand the nature of a DAM project. It has to do with the perception that managing digital assets so the right person gets the right file in the right amount of time is not a general need within an organisation, and it is. Many organisations having that ability for the right person to get the right file, that is intrinsic in their day-to-day operation. It is a change, from 10 years ago when we used to sell DAM solutions for a start. It was very poorly understood media involved in a business environment because there wasn't much of it. Now, later in the 21st century, there's media all over the place and people need to get the right file all the time to do their job. So you've really got to understand that DAM can be seen not really as the coal face of what the solution is. It's not like people do DAM just for DAM. People do use DAM solutions, but it's often that a DAM solution is the internal infrastructure that supports a whole lot of other processes within an organization. So for example, take, for example, a content management, a CMS solution, getting the right images out onto the website. The DAM is going to supply those images. They're going to make them available to the people creating the website. So, it's supporting infrastructure. DAM plugged into an ERP, so people look up a product number, see the image that goes along with it. All very important stuff here. So you've got to understand that DAM, even though you can implement a DAM project just for the sake of DAM, you really need to start seeing DAM as an operational cost within the organization. Okay, right now then, so I'm going to go back up to number 6, but before we do that, just let's run the second poll. Where is our second poll? Here we go. Launch poll. So this is the last 5 of those items there, going from didn't understand DAM benefits, lack of leadership. Which one of those can you relate to? So if you'd just like to take your pick there, and when everybody's voted, I'll just go back to item number 6, and then we'll wrap up from there. Okay. Right. Okay, very interesting. Again, an even split. Well, it's not quite even, but it's pretty even. Didn't understand DAM benefits, lack of leadership buy-in, and did not accept DAM as an operational cost. Now, that's really interesting. The technology and the vendors were not seen at all. They didn't actually get a single vote in that. That's incredible. All of the other 3 were evenly voted for. So I'm really quite perplexed by that, interested. Maybe us DAM vendors do a really good job. That's a good thing. Okay, and so now then, I'm going to start on the wrap up here, and I'm going to get up to what I think is my favorite mistake. Didn't understand DAM benefits. And I must say, the people that put the slides together or did the final presentation from the customer engagement team, they changed the title of this mistake originally. My title for this mistake is did not understand the value of the digital assets. And when I speak to an organization, and in my role here in DataBasics, I'm often running first contact with an organization, really determining if they are the right sort of people to be buying a DAM solution, whether we're the right company for them, all of those sort of things. One of the questions that I'll ask people right up front is, do you understand the value of your digital assets? And like the type of answers you get are really interesting. People that come up with really short answers, like, they're about $50 each or something. That's not what I'm after. Some people, and it's not unusual to say, it's all good money after bad, like they're having a bad experience with the whole thing. That's not a good answer. The ones that I'm sort of after are people that tell me a whole story. They launch off and they speak for some like 30 seconds, to some go for 20 minutes. I believe me, but it's all good. It's all good, and they will tell me everything about their organization, the implications of having the right sort of media available to the right people, and they can tell me the value of the digital assets, the impact on the organization for not having the digital assets. They're a wonderful customer, and the reason why they're good is because they will benefit from DAM. Because DAM's going to make all of that happen for you. And if you don't have that understanding and you have a DAM solution, sure, you're going to be able to search and retrieve it. You can't find it, can't use it. It becomes one of the really simple, basic sort of usages of DAM in that context. But what we like to do as an organization is to build on that and give organizations something much more. Whoops, what happened there? And so what we like to do is really expand upon the benefits of DAM, look at the value of digital assets and leverage that so they get a much higher return on investment. Now, some of the comments that people made here, not understanding how a DAM system will provide benefits, really interesting. believe DAM is too expensive. Now, I see this all the time. It's one of the things that I combat on a day-to-day level. People will tell me that they've got, $100,000, $200,000 worth of digital assets, that it contributes to their brand asset that is worth $1 million, and spending $50,000 on a solution to manage all of that is too expensive. It just doesn't, really work with me. Did not selectively filter assets to better manage. Really interesting. These are people that do understand, or now, after they made the mistake, they understood this, right? Protocol to define value of assets. Need to cull in a consistent process. I love that comment. That is exactly what that person says. Protocol to define value of assets. Really important. It's something that many organizations to date that we deal with really can't get down to a fine level of defining value of digital assets. They're getting there, but that's really good. Identifying what is best to keep. So you can see a lot of people are talking about what is the right sort of stuff to stick in a DAM, what is not. Do you just stick everything? That's what a lot of people sort of start off with. And we can say, well, you can. Often the best approach is to stick everything in there and then work on a process to identify what is best to keep. It's all good stuff. Now then, so this, as I said before, and I'll start working up to the wrap up here. One more. This item there, didn't understand the DAM benefits, or in my language, did not understand the value of the digital assets, started without a complete business plan, and not understanding what DAM is. I think these three items really are intrinsically grouped together, and they provide the real differentiator between a DAM project and any other general IT type of project that you might see. And the real core reason to that is that a DAM project is all about the digital assets. This is the big difference between DAM and some other IT project. DAM is about digital assets. That's what we say, digital asset management. It's about managing digital assets. It's in the language there. It's not about counting figures, counting records, making a website or something like that. It is about digital assets, and that is core to one of the main mistakes that people can make in a DAM process, is that they don't understand that DAM is all about their digital assets. They don't understand their digital assets. That's mistake 6. They don't understand that DAM is all about the digital assets. That's mistake number 2. And they started without a complete business plan that really wrapped all of that together, really wrapped together the need to plan for how their digital assets and the metadata associated with them will go through their organization. There'll be a life cycle associated with those digital assets and the metadata that will lead to the organization benefiting from the project overall. Okay, so that's the presentation for this morning. Look, I'll just open up the question panel. If anybody would like to ask me any questions, do please note, you should be able to see it in your GoToWebinar control panel. There is the handout, which is the PDF of this presentation there. Now then, I'm always available for people to talk to. I'm generally in the office. I'm sure you all know how to get in contact with me. We will be posting the recording of this webinar tomorrow. It goes up 24 hours later. And I can't see anybody asking any questions. That's fine with me. I can see some general comments being made. No particular questions. That's all good. So I'd like to close the webinar session. Thank you very much for attending. I do need to say we haven't decided what we're going to do in December yet. There's a couple of different ideas if anybody would like to know. One of the ideas was to talk more about the products. There was one on deployment options. People wanted to know more about on-premise, cloud and hybrid type of deployment options. Some others wanted to look more at the flight solution, which is attracting a lot of attention. So if anybody's got some ideas on what you'd like for the next webinar early in December, please let me know. But on that point, thank you all again for attending, and I look forward to catching up with you in the future. Thank you.